Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom, to One-on-One, the KC Sports Network podcast with myself, Mike DeVito, 9-year NFL veteran, and my brother, Big Jeff Allen, 9-year NFL veteran and Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champion. Big Jeff, what's up, brother? How you doing today?
What's going on, man? Good to see you. Seems like it's been a while.
Oh, it's great to be back. I always love this fellowship. Love talking Chiefs football from a player's perspective. Before we get into it, Cookie Society, our sponsor. Listen, we're linemen. We know these things. Cookie Society delivers all over the U.S. Check them out. You see the T-shirt.
Yeah, best cookies in the world.
Best cookies in the world. And I would gamble on that claim. I would bet money on that claim. So you got to check them out, cookiesociety.com. And thank you to them for sponsoring us. And so, Big Jeff, I was going to wait until training camp started before we did our next one. And we're going to have that big training camp episode. We'll have some friends on to talk football and get ready for the season. But we had two things come up that I think was important to hit. And I was really excited to get your sort of opinion on, especially you being there so recently. But that was obviously the Le'Veon Bell situation. And then the news that training camp is going to be back up in St. Joe next year. Yeah. And so let's start with the first thing, because this was really wild to see this stuff with Le'Veon Bell. And so obviously there's some Instagram sub-tweet where Bell says, I'd rather retire than play for Andy Reid again. And as you would assume, that causes a whole storm of controversy, and rightfully so. And so a couple of days go by of people criticizing Bell, and then finally he posts a string of Twitter posts where he says, look, I love Kansas City. I love my teammates, the locker room, the place. I just didn't like what Andy Reid and what he said to me. And he didn't mention what it was and what he said. So I have my own thoughts. Why don't I kick it over to you first, though? I mean, you know that locker room, and both of us know Andy Reid. What did you think about these comments that came out from Le'Veon Bell?
I mean, I thought it was out of left field. I mean, I personally don't know the dynamic of their relationship and what went on in the locker room during his tenure there. But me knowing Coach Reid, I can't imagine him saying anything that would, make someone feel that jaded or that was disrespectful. He's a professional, he's a straight shooter. So I imagine he probably said something to him that was truthful, but you have to look in the mirror as a professional, as a man, and accept that criticism because, I mean, a legend like himself who's been in the game for so long, what he's saying holds weight, and it's true. But beside that, he's a player's coach. I mean, we all love him. He treats everyone fair. He gives you a fair opportunity, and it's up to you if you're going to do the work and capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, and it's like what you said is across the board. I mean, it's just unanimous in players' feelings for Coach Reid from his entire history in the NFL. And it's not like I heard somebody post, because we had posted stuff to defend Coach Reid, and people saying, "Oh, you guys are linemen." It's like, look, Andy Reid's dealt with.
We are the I guess because we're linemen, but we're the ones that don't usually get much attention. So we're okay with not being in the spotlight, but Coach Reid treats everyone fair, no matter what your position is, no matter what your role is on the team, whether you're the number one guy on the depth chart or you're the 53rd guy. He's going to give everyone that fair shot. It's not about any politics or anything like that. He's truly going to give people a fair shot. And like I said, it's up to you what you're going to do as a professional. When you get those opportunities, for some people, they don't get as many reps because of their position on the depth chart. But with the reps that you get and the opportunities that you get in games, the film doesn't lie. And what you show, that is your resume. Unfortunately, if your resume doesn't look that well, you don't have a job.
Right. You can't blame other people for that.
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if I told this on here. Forgive me if I had already told the story. But my last season there in 2015, training camp had started. It was myself, Dontari Poe, and Jay Howard were working the inside nose tackle positions. Poe had been hurt, and he was nursing a back or something. So he was going to be back for the season, but he wasn't doing training camp.
Yeah.
And Jay Howard was taking the reps at nose. And I saw the way that Jay was playing, and I saw the way that I was playing, and I knew, okay, it's just a matter of time before Poe gets back, and I'm going to be rotating in. I just can't. He's just better than I am. I mean, it's just what it is. And come around, start the season, Poe comes back. Then around week 3, Coach Reid approaches me and says, look, he just like I thought, but he's like, he's playing better than you are. Yeah. And so we're going to start him. He's going to be the starter, and you're going to rotate in. You're still going to get the same reps, and it's going to be the same thing. We need your leadership. But he's playing better than you are. And so we're going to go with him. And, as much as that hurts as a player to hear, right? That kills. You can't argue with that. I mean, you can't argue. And Coach Reid is doing that because he's doing what's best for everyone, right? He wants to play the team. He wants to make sure that the best players are playing. And I'm a guy that might have been, I'd gotten paid the contract. I was getting paid more. I was the older guy. It didn't matter. It was the best guy was going to play.
Exactly.
And so and I'm sure that's just one of countless examples.
Yeah, I think it's tough, as competitors and us, all of us are alpha males in our own right, being professional athletes and getting to that level. So we all feel like we're the best at what we do. But unfortunately, there's certain points in your career where you aren't as good as you were before. And you have to face that reality. And sometimes guys take a little bit longer to realize that and look in the mirror and not take it too personally. It is a business. Like you said, you were getting paid more, you're older, all these different things that were to your advantage. But at the end of the day, the best guy is going to play. And sometimes some guys can't handle that. I mean, my last year, I was a backup. And I understood that was my role. I do feel like there was some times where I could have gave the team better games, but ultimately it was best for the team. Yeah. And it was my role, and I stuck with it. I didn't complain about it. I went in every day with a good attitude, and I made sure that I brought leadership to the room, and that's all you can ask for.
I remember watching you the year after I retired, and watching you down in Houston, and thinking, this is the reason I retired. Like, thank God I don't go against Jeff anymore. So I agree with you. You could have been out there definitely helping that team. But back to Bell. So you start out with the Pittsburgh situation a few years back, and obviously things get tense there, and he sits out a year. Yeah. And you say, okay, you got contract stuff. He thinks he's at this level. They think he's at this level. And so that's obviously going to cause fighting. And so, you don't blame Bell for that. Then he gets to the Jets, and it's drama at the Jets. Now, prior to this year, I've been covering New York. I obviously played for the Jets. And so I've been covering New York. And you want to see what Bell can do, right? He comes from his year off. He signs with the Jets, gets his contract, and you want to see what he can do. And he doesn't perform like the Le'Veon Bell that we saw with Pittsburgh. And playing against him when Bell was, at his spot, when he's doing his thing, it's a nightmare. As a defensive lineman, it's an absolute nightmare because he's the type of guy that he'll slow down. He will slow down and stop right at the line of scrimmage and then cut and be gone another direction. I've never seen anything like it. So I was excited to see him replicate that in New York. And then 2 years in New York, we don't see that. And you see the blaming Adam Gase, blaming the OC. Yeah. Their team is terrible. So you say, okay, maybe that is the case. Maybe that's what's going on. Then he gets to Kansas City. Again, if there's anybody in the NFL who knows how to figure out what guys' talents are and then put them in a position to maximize on those talents, it's Andy Reid. Yep. Him and Belichick do it better than anybody. And, you see some production, but certainly not the Le'Veon Bell production. And then you see this, and it's like, okay, you stop one. All right, maybe it's the, I understand. Step two, okay, I guess. Step three with Andy Reid, it's like, all right, you showed your hand now. This is clearly, you have been at least part of the problem this whole time, because there's no way with Andy Reid's resume, he would have, done you wrong or done anything bad you have to come out and tell us if that's the case, because there's nothing that would lead any player, former player or current player, to lead to that conclusion. So, yeah, it
definitely blew my mind. I think my honest opinion on it, if I could give a take on it and kind of guess, how the situation played out and how it played out for Le'Veon over the last, few seasons, is he's a talented football player. Obviously, he probably still has something left in the tank, but he's been injured. Yeah. And I know the way Coach Reid works. When you get hurt and the next guy steps up, if he goes in there and he's rolling, he's going to stick with that guy. It doesn't matter what point it is in the season. It could be a playoff run. It could be the beginning of the season. It could be the Super Bowl. Right. If the guy that replaced you when you were hurt is producing better than you were when you were healthy, he's sticking with that guy. It doesn't matter what your name is. Doesn't matter what you're getting paid. Right. It doesn't matter how he feels about you personally. Right. He's going to make the decision based upon production. And I think that's ultimately what happened, and it rubbed Bell the wrong way.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And you have to do that as a coach.
Yeah.
You little wrinkle. Sometimes you switch out a guy and it messes up the rhythm, and now all the momentum grinds to a halt. Momentum is huge in the NFL, and you can't mess with things. If things are broke, don't fix it. Right? That's the adage.
That's it.
You got to do that, as hard as that is. And especially as a veteran player, even as an all-star, you got to say, okay, I get it. Let me work. Give me a chance to work and show that I can still do it.
Yeah.
Don't put me out completely, which Andy Reid, of course, wouldn't. But you understand it. You have to understand.
But what would put you out completely is a bad attitude when you're in that position.
Right.
So if you aren't coming out working hard, if you aren't putting your best foot forward, if you're pouting about it, not being a good teammate, then ultimately that doesn't sit well with Coach Reid. And I don't know their situation. I'm just guessing right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, just knowing what I know about Coach Reid, this is what I believe.
Can you think of so I was there from 13 to 15. You were there obviously in the later years, but I'm sure you kept in contact with a lot of those guys. I did as well. I mean, can you think of a situation in that locker room over the course of time that Andy Reid's been in Kansas City that mimics this? I mean, I can't think of anything even close.
Nothing where I don't know the Philly days, but I've never seen any bad press about Coach Reid. And it's not because people, don't want to badmouth coaches. I mean, there's tons of coaches that are bad. They hear things in the media from players or anonymous players or things as such. But with Coach Reid, it's always been positive. So that's why this has been all so weird, such a weird situation. And I would say, even if you feel like that, read the room.
Right.
read the room and understand, hey, maybe I shouldn't say this, knowing that I'm a free agent in a league where Coach Reid is so respected.
Right.
I probably shouldn't badmouth the coach of his stature.
Oh, it's such a great point. And the thing is, and Andy Reid has said this, and he's done it. He will go to bat for guys that he's cut. He will go to bat for guys that go into free agency, for coaches that leave. He goes to bat for the guys that play for him. And so you're right. And this was something I learned early as a rookie that I had a lot of the veterans tell me, listen, if you get cut, don't burn any bridges, because nothing is final in this league. Everybody has connections. Everything's connected. You don't want to be pegged as, a jerk, or you don't want to burn any bridges. You don't want to have any foes. You don't want to have any enemies in this league. And I've seen that happen. Mm-hmm. I've seen guys become, labeled as
exiled, blackballed, bad teammate,
right?
The locker room guy. There's just too many good players on the market for you to be tagged as that and expect to have a job. And unfortunately, guys don't learn that, and the league goes on. Right,
and the locker room can be so powerful and yet so fragile at the same time, in the sense that you get bad apples like that. You get a guy who's not a good locker room guy, a guy that's going to blame the coaches, a guy who's going to cause drama. It only takes one to uproot an entire team.
Yep.
Right, you get the momentum, getting things rolling, you're getting everybody on the same page. When you get everybody bought in, it's good, but it only takes one guy to mess that whole thing up. And so
no one balances better. Personality is better than Coach Reid.
Right.
Like I said, you're dealing with a locker room of all different types of personalities.
Right.
At the end of the day, we all are alpha males, and we all feel like we're the best at what we do. And it's tough as a leader getting those guys to, play their roles. And understand that not everyone's going to be a superstar, and everyone's going to be the starter, but to understand that you are important and your role is important. And at some point, we're going to need you if we're going to get to where we want to go.
Right.
And he does it better than anybody I've ever been around. His position coaches, Eric Bieniemy, same, Andy Heck. Right. It's just their reflection of him, and it trickles down to the coaching staff. And then ultimately, we believe as a locker room. And that's why you see them winning games and going to Super Bowls and winning their championships. And it's going to continue to happen as long as they have that core.
Right. And what's great about Andy Reid, too, that might make him – and I don't know Bill Belichick, obviously, but seems like Bill Belichick is not a guy that's really approachable to many players. Where I remember Andy Reid, we would have our leadership meetings, or it would be a team meeting, and he was very much like, listen, if you got an issue, you can tell me. You want to tell me to go F myself? Tell me to go F myself. Let's shoot it straight. Let's get it out there. Let's fix it. I'm not always going to agree with you, but let's shoot straight and then let's go. Let's move on. I mean, he was very approachable. If you had a problem, you brought it to him. And I saw that time and time again where guys wanted to do this or guys didn't like that, and they went to him, and he would either fix it or say, listen, I disagree, and we're going to stick with this. But he wasn't a guy you couldn't come to with a problem. You know, he's not this guy that's this high and mighty where you can't even approach. He says it and that's it. You can't approach him. So,
and I think that's what makes him unique. And like I said, this is why this is so bizarre.
Right.
I mean, a guy literally takes our suggestions on cafeteria food. What do you think about what you're eating in the cafeteria?
Right.
He really cares about his guys that much that he cares about what's going on at home. Is the schedule okay? What do you want to wear on Sunday?
Right.
All these different things, like, that doesn't happen across the league. You don't have those types of meetings and relationships with head coaches.
No. So I guess our challenge to Le'Veon Bell then is, if you're going to make these claims, man, you got to come out against Coach Reid, a guy like Coach Reid with the resume and the background that he has.
Show the facts.
You got to show the facts, brother.
Yeah.
So now moving on to the second topic, something a little bit more fun to talk about. That is training camp back at St. Joe's. The news just came out. I really enjoyed training. I mean, it's training camp. So I don't know if you enjoy training camp, but I really loved St. Joe's, the setup at Missouri Western, the way that everything was situated, the way the fans were right there in the morning out in that little grass area. We'd be going to lunch and coming back in from practice, and just a fun experience. And it's a lot different being at the facility. So in 2011, I was with the Jets, and that was the year after the lockout. And so the lockout ended. I think did you come in that year, Jeff?
I came in that year.
Yeah. So the lockout ended. That's a hard year to have started. Jeez, I never would have made it if that was my rookie year. But we came in right at the last minute. The deal gets signed. And so in New York, we used to go up to Cortland in upstate New York. That year we didn't do it. We stayed at the facility in New Jersey with the Jets. And it was not the same. It was not the same. And originally you thought, oh, this is great. We're going to be home. We can go home to our own house. You know, we're going to be able to, we're in our area. There's a bunch of stuff to do. We're in New Jersey. And it really messed with my mind. It was like two separate worlds, right? Because when you go to training camp, you shut everything down and it's just focus on training camp. That's it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. For the 3 weeks that you're up there, that's it. That's all your focus. Your family knows that. Friends know that. That's where the focus is. We got to get ready for the season. When you have training camp at home, at the facility where you're at home, it's like a blending of two worlds. I don't know if you've ever done it, but
I've done it. So I'll give you my perspective on it. Yeah. Early, I mean, I started in Kansas City, so we were in St. Joe year after year. Absolutely hated it. like I was like, I dreaded training camp. Yeah. Because I didn't understand when I was younger that it was a necessary evil. And when I went to Houston, training camp was at our facility on site. The veteran guys could literally stay at home. So you got your family there, all these different things. You got date nights still. And it was just super weird. And then I realized, I was like, wait, this isn't comfortable. This is too comfortable. It's too comfortable. We're not getting better the way we should be getting better. We're not focused. And being away and being in those type of environments, the dorm environment, you get closer with your teammates. You start to learn more than just football. You start to learn about your brother, the guy next to you. You love him more, all these different things. And it all ties in. And a guy that you respect as a man and as a teammate, that makes you want to play harder for him. And I think that being away in that environment, it just puts everything together.
Yeah, it's like that scene from Remember the Titans, right?
Yeah. Really, because we're all struggling together, and that within that struggle, there's beauty, and that's something that you don't quite understand when you're younger. But as you get older, your focus has to be 100% on football,
right?
And training camp sets the foundation for that, and it just gives you that boost going into the season, and that's just where you lay it all on the line,
right? And you really do, like, it's not. There's no faking it. You really do bond with your team, and because it's only you guys, right? It's only you guys, and that's why these places are in. And I love St. Joe's. I love the same people in St. Joe's. St. Joe's ain't, Kansas City, just like Cortland isn't New York City. I mean, you really are with your team, and that's it. And there's
and on top of that, like just the atmosphere of St. Joe's, You got the fans out there every day. You're coming off the practice field, you see the fans. You're going to your dorm room, you see the fans.
Oh, I love
just the love that you're getting, the encouragement, because there's some dog days there. I'm talking about where we're just grinding out, we're tired.
Oh.
And sometimes you're like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But you're doing it because you love the game.
Yeah.
And there's people out there, that are diehards. There are diehards that they want nothing more but for you to succeed as a player and as a team. And when you see those guys, it kind of gives you a little bit more motivation.
Oh, Chiefs Kingdom was the best fan base. Just unbelievable. I mean, I still get, messages and on social media and what have you. People sending me old photos of me at training camp and, times I signed footballs or something. I mean, it was just great. I really missed it. And so it's a unique experience, obviously a tough experience. Here in northern Maine in the summertime, and, our hottest day, might be 80 degrees. And so I know, geez, I'm going back to St. Joe for training. We're going to run the conditioning test, going to have all these practices. So I'm out here in 80-degree weather, run sweatshirt, sweatpants. Like you would think it's the middle.
No, you honestly miss it. I miss it for sure. It's that first week especially, man. Like walking in for the first time, getting situated, those introduction meetings, setting the tone, meeting some new teammates that might not showed up during the off-season training. Sorry, I can edit that out. Sorry. Meeting some new teammates that show up for the first time that didn't show up during the off-season. Clark Hunt always leads off with a speech, with the history of the team and what we're striving for, and that is winning a Lombardi, but most importantly, winning the Lamar Hunt Trophy, which is named after his father. And I think that's just really cool to sit in the room and hear those things and know that you're one of the more important organizations in the NFL. The historic significance of the team, what they mean to the NFL, and what the original owner of the Chiefs has done for the league.
So good, brother. Well, I want to stop us there because I want to do our training camp episode. We're going to have some teammates on to talk camp. We're going to talk about all our time up there, different stories, and so we'll save that for the next one. But just a little teaser of what's to come, and it's great to see training camp is back up in St. Joe, back up and running. Good to see the Chiefs Kingdom can be up there to cheer on the team, and as much as that means to all of us. And so, well, Jeff, it's been great. We'll meet again in July, talk about some training camp. And Chiefs Kingdom, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Can't wait. Meet me in St. Joe. Go Chiefs.